What is up, my dashing dudes and darling dames? I am the Hans TV, and welcome back to r/Entitled People. And oh boy, it's a doozy this time. Our first post for the day comes from Tales from My Crib. I'm telling your mom. My mom is my very best friend. I may not tell her everything right away, but I do tell her everything. In the summer of 2006, I was in a relationship with my Didi's father. He and I were starting to fizzle out, but we were still active in the passionately hugging department. I broke up with him mid-August. Fast forward to Labor Day. I was late for my period and very concerned. I bought a cheap test and sure enough, I was pregnant. I was waiting to tell my mom until I could get proper testing done at the local health department, find a doctor, and make sure I was prepared to have a baby while still living with my mom. I had no intentions of getting back together with my ex-boyfriend because his entire family turned out to be entitled, and I didn't want my child or me forced to deal with that. A few days later, I found out. I was staying over at a close friend's house. She was at work and I was hanging out with her mom and dad. They were basically my second parents. When I messaged on the MSN Messenger, my ex-boyfriend, "Hey, we need to talk." "What?" "Well, I need to talk to you on the phone. It isn't something I want to put on the internet." "Deal. Tell me here." "Fine, I took a cheap test, and I'm pregnant. It's yours. I need you to come with me to the health department so we can get a good test, make sure this is legit, and take care of what needs to be taken care of." I should insert here that, while I'm all for each individual having a choice over their own body, my personal stance is that abortion is not something I ever want. Also, health departments where we live do not perform abortions. They offer the morning after pill, condoms, birth control, and sometimes WIC. I am not taking to the health department for an abortion. That isn't what I said. Prove that you aren't pregnant. I don't get paid until Friday. If you want to buy a test and meet me at friend's house, I will gladly take the test and show you. But that's the real reason I want to go to the health department. To make sure. I'll be there in an hour. So, an hour later, my ex-boyfriend pulls up with his dad. He explains that since he was going to be out, he was going to go to my mom's and pick up the last of his things from our breakup. I told him I would call her when he's leaving, as my friend and I had plans that night. He hands me the test. He and his father begin to follow me upstairs to the bathroom. I stop. There is no way I'm letting your dad and you stand outside the bathroom door while I pee. Not happening. Fortunately, I had clued in Mama and Papa, friends' parents, so I had their support as well. His dad stayed downstairs and he followed me upstairs. He demanded that I pee in front of him with the door open, so he could be sure I didn't use someone else's urine. I declined. I told him that if he really didn't trust me, he could go in the bathroom ahead of me and see that there isn't anyone else's pee sitting in a cup anywhere. He actually did a thorough check of the bathroom before looking at me and saying, "How do I know you weren't hiding it on you?" I said, "I guess you'll have to trust me." Walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and did my business. The stick hadn't even sat long enough for me to clean up and wash my hands before it turned positive. Then I got a brilliant idea. I decided I would hand him the end of the stick I had peed on, without cleaning it off, and I did just that. He demanded to hold it, so I let him. He hung his head and we discussed our options. I told him I would not be getting rid of it, and he decided that he wanted to be involved. I offered him as much involvement as he would like, but told him I was not okay with getting back together right now. He left, and I called my mom to tell her they were on their way. Now, remember, my mom is my very best friend. She always is on my side, and always has my back. About 45 minutes later, I get a call from my mom. She tells me that ex-boyfriend and his dad are at her house and want to make sure which stuff is his. I told her where the box was and she got it, remaining on the phone with me the entire time. She asks when my friend and I would get back that evening, and I told her, and then I hear a knock at my mom's door. My ex-boyfriend's dad came back. Mom pretended she got off the phone with me, opened the door and said, "Yes, what can I do for you?" Ex-boyfriend's dad said, "I just wanted to let you know that your daughter's pregnant and plans on aborting the baby. She was never going to tell you. She told us before you. I guess you don't have such a great relationship after all." My superhero of a mother, without missing a beat, puts the phone to her ear and says, "Are you pregnant? Really?" I tell her I am and that this isn't how I wanted to tell her, and she squeals with delight. "I'm so excited to be a grandma. I guess ex-boyfriend's dad thought you didn't tell me already." She played the whole thing off as though she had known all along. Ex-boyfriend and his dad drove away and didn't speak to me again until my daughter was 6 months old. By their choice. They had decided that since I wasn't dating him when I found out about the pregnancy, I must have been sleeping around, and he couldn't possibly be a father. The DNA test proved him wrong. Man, OP, you have a really fantastic mother, and I'm sure you're happy that she is in your life. As for your boyfriend, or your ex-boyfriend, my bad, and his father, well, you can't change everybody, and you can't hope that they're going to be the best people. Our next post comes from Morbid Mouse. I am very sorry for being a decent human being to you. So this just happened. For reference, it's the afternoon. Spring is making its pass through here, and when spring comes, occasional days of super hotness. Like today. I had just exited the train and I'm waiting for the bus. I noticed today's bus driver is a guy that is consistently late leaving the station. He's literally pulling up 2 minutes before the bus has to leave. And I know from observation that he isn't going to make that mark. Story within the story. He still feels entitled to a 15-minute break, even if it means leaving 20 minutes late. I don't bother with this guy. I've seen other people try to talk to him and be blown off by his attitude. Whatever. So, deciding to once again wait for the bus after, instead of riding with this guy who's going to leave around the same time with a fuller bus because he waited so long, I sit down in the shade from the train station. It's hot today. I'm tired from running all over at work. I notice there's a woman who's waiting on the latest bus driver ever. She's carrying quite a lot and standing in the sun, expecting this guy will be right back, becoming impatient when he isn't. I call out to her from my shady spot. Sorry to bother you, ma'am, he's not going to be back for a while. He's always pretty late. She glowers at me. I brush it off as possible resting wish face and wave politely. This woman, who we'll lovingly dub Karen, because she did have the right haircut anyways, trudged off to sit in the shade. I literally stopped remembering she even existed. As predicted, the second bus shows up. Mr. Late realizes he's late again, and takes off so there's room for the other bus. I crawl from my shady spot and slither over to the shade near the bus door. The lady driving is always on time and lets people on early. I'm in the middle of editing pictures of my adorable kittens, when I hear someone suddenly say, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" I am used to this. I'm hospital security, and people often mistake me for the police. I look up with a smile, expecting to not know the answer to whatever question it is. I see it as the lady. Okay. Yes, how can I help you? Karen glares heat-seeking killer crocs from her eyes at me and says, "I just want to know why you were talking to me." Oh, she had not heard me. Oh, just to let you know that the bus driver always leaves late. This response did not please Karen. She gets in my face. I am used to this also because I am a smallish, younger Korean girl who people assume they can push around. She screams, "Why are you talking to me? What gives you the right to enter my personal space?" What? This was new. I have never had experience with someone who is literally so entitled that no one is allowed to talk to them, even to be nice. Excuse you? I was just being nice. Please go away, you're being psycho. She keeps yelling, stating that I started it by entering her personal space first, from so far away. I get annoyed and walk away. She keeps screaming. There's another guy at the stop who asks what I was talking to her about that set her off. I told him that I'm a severely horrid person who let an older woman know her bus was going to leave late, cause I felt bad for her, standing in the hot sun carrying a ton of stuff. Apparently it was so offensive that I would dare to speak to her, that she missed her bus just so she could yell at me. He laughed, I laughed, we both agreed. Karen's gonna do what Karen's gonna do. So Karen, I'm so sorry that I am an evil little girl who tried to do something nice for you. Please never bother me again. You know, sometimes, after reading stories like these, I am convinced that I was born on the wrong planet, because these people are so rude, and there's so many nice people in the world. Like, how is this possible? Our final post for the day comes from Scully Fusion. EB nearly destroys my new gaming PC. Cast is entitled Brat, good brother, good cousin, and entitled Brat's mother. She isn't entitled. So, a few months ago on the 30th of December 2019, I had received a new gaming PC. Yay, I never had one before because the old one, let's just say, was awful. It isn't the best PC, but it is 100 times better than my old one, and it's pretty decent. Now, on to the story. I always wanted to say that. The same day, some relatives were coming over, and one was indeed the EB. I have met him before, and I knew some injury was going to occur. just as he did with my GC's little sister. We haven't, at the time, tried the PC yet to see how it would perform, so I decided, heck, why not? So I loaded Fortnite. Please don't judge me. And right off the bat, I got a decent 40 to 60 FPS more than the old PC, which would only run 15 or less. I was so excited that I told my brother to try his game. It's free, but old, after I finished my round. During his time trying, he also liked it. But then, Entitled Brat wanted to try. But we denied anyone from touching it. It was new, so, you know. Somehow, EB learned how to turn it off and did a couple of times. That set my GB mad, and he shouted at EB. My GC, for some reason, laughed, but he was young, so I was still shocked. He then nearly broke the PC when my brother stopped him. It fell to the side, but thank God it didn't break. He then shouted at him to get out. I rushed downstairs and told my mum and EM, but the EM says, "Why don't you play upstairs with him?" So we head upstairs and I hear a short conversation after EB does something bad again. This is translated from Urdu by me, so it's mostly accurate. "EB, we're going to go if you don't behave." "But I want to play on the computer." "You have one at home." So I mutter under my breath, again translated from Urdu. More like break a computer. But after that, me and my other cousins played our way. Ate, bid farewell, and then I went into the kitchen to complain about EB. After my dad learned about what he did, he was also angry at him. But even before the pandemic, I've only seen him once, so long, EB. So, the part that was broken is on the left side of my PC, and you can open the PC to change parts or move it. But there is only one side that can open, the other sticks with the case, and I have recently found that the left side of the case on top is coming out a bit, so now I'm worried that will happen. If you're wondering, this is an Alienware X51R2. I've showed my setup, so if you want to see it, it's on my profile. So I did some research, and the computer OP has is about $2,000. If that entitled brat actually broke that computer, that would be a hefty bill his mother would have to pay. Like, that sucks. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode of r/EntitledPeople. I hope you liked the stories, and if you did, I'm going to link them down in the description below as always. And if you liked the video, subscribe, share, drop a like, and a comment down below what you'd like to see me read next. A humongous thank you to those who showed up to my live stream the other day, and really participated. That made me feel really good about what I'm doing, and I just hope to become better at it. But with that being said, I will see you in the next video.